Struggle number 12. All the fun videos you're gonna watch about how to do things.
Oh yeah, no. This last month, we have 7 people who I've never met in my life willing to give us money because they like the content we're creating. And like the concept of that is so like, you know, like not to get cliche, but it's like, you like me, you really like me, you know,
it's validating.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
They don't even get to the content. They don't even come near the content.
But like I made this really cool intro using mostly MS Paint and Premiere. And I showed it to my one friend who is a production person. He's like, oh, wow, did you use After Effects for this? And I was like, no. And I was like, I've never touched After Effects. And they're like, what did you use? And I told them, like, you poor bastard.
You know, I'd see a video, I'd see an episode, and it was just obvious the things that I needed to do to make it better. When you start, there's 1,000 struggles, but just getting the people you know on board to help you out is a lot harder than you think. And people that aren't YouTuber don't really understand the algorithms and what they can do to help you.
I would say more than half of us on YouTube don't understand the algorithm.
True.
I like to think I do, but I know I don't.
Probably don't. Yeah, but at least the basics, you know, the basics to know that a like actually matters a lot more than probably a sub. Retention is probably the most important thing out of your video. And that if you're just clicking to give the person a view and you watch 5 seconds and you peace out, that's actually hurting the YouTuber.
Even if you come onto my video and dislike it, that's better. Like YouTube counts that as engagement, which in their eyes is a good thing, which is so fun. Like that's like how extremely negative videos can get popular. It's just like, oh, well, this is trash, or somebody's saying something terrible or doing something terrible. But because a bunch of people dislike it, YouTube's like, oh, we should share that more.
Yeah, exactly. Because it creates a conversation, means people stick for longer. They're watching. If they disliked, it means they watched and they didn't like it, but they still watched. It's still kept, because it's all about retention. YouTube is all about retention, and it's so hard. And then one thing so when I started, I did a lot of Google ads. I spent quite a bunch of money in Google ads and trying to be...
I can totally talk about that too. We did that once, and we've done it a couple times, and I think we cracked the code on the last time because we got like 1,000 subs from that. But the other times was just like, it would basically be like, oh, here's a video that I put a lot of time into that I think is really good, and I think a bunch of people enjoy. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to attach it to other content creators whose stuff I think my video is like. And that would get subscribers. Like I would definitely see a boost in the numbers on that video. The average watch rate would go down because a lot of people are just getting it as an ad and they'll click skip. But you'll still get people who are like, oh, it's weird. You'll get so many comments of like, did anybody else get this video as an ad? Not that I'm complaining though. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess working. Thanks. But yeah. And like we would see subscribers from that, but it would be like so minimal compared to, in my mind, like the money put into it. Yeah. And then we did an ad of our channel trailer. We finally made a fancy channel trailer, which is my least favorite thing to do because it doesn't feel like actual progress, but it is so important. And we made the channel trailer, and then we made a cut of it where at the beginning I was just on camera and I was like, hey, if you're getting this as an ad, please don't click away. We spent all our money to promote this, and it's only a minute long. And then we just played our channel trailer, and it was like, hey, here's the things we do. Here's the different content we create. If this is something you think you'd like, check out our video, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. And from that, I think we spent like $100 and got almost 1,000 subscribers in 5 days.
Oh, really?
And so we went from 2,000 to 3,000 like in a month.
Wow, that's actually impressive. For me, the Google ads, I did it a bit different. I've done a few things which none worked, but I've learned a lot from it. And the first thing I've done was just advertising as the thumbnails on the side, which is the only way I've done it so far. And it does pump out views, but it just doesn't work for retention. And I've tried my trailer to put as an ad And I've learned, I haven't done ads since, but what I've learned is how to do a hook at the beginning of the video, because I saw the retention span, not the retention, the attention span of a viewer is like 4 seconds. And
it's so bad.
I found out, like, at first I'm like, when I started this channel, I really had this big idea of a TV show. I saw it like a late show. I saw it like a late show, and that just doesn't translate over to YouTube. And I had this cute little logo pop out with the music for 10 seconds at the beginning, and then I'm like, why are my videos not working? I'm looking at retention, and my retention is plummeting, and like my content is crap, and and I'm like, wait a minute, they don't even get to the content. They don't even come near the content, because I'm doing the intro video thing, then I blabber for a minute about nonsense, presenting what's going to happen. People don't even make it through halfway of this. So I'm blowing a bunch of money on ads. People are clicking on it because the title's interesting. And then they just like, fuck this, I can't wait for this long. So then this brought me to redo my entire intros, where I just shoved the guest right in their face by saying, hey, this is the guest. And then I put a few clips of like funny stuff throughout, or like interesting questions I ask to trying to hook. But that's another thing that no one's going to teach you how to do. And then if you don't look at your data, you're just going to think, hey, my content sucks dicks. But it's not that. It's just people don't get there.
It's so much like now we, as like, just the world is so ingrained with so much good content. Like, so much good content is being produced all the time, and it's competing for watch time with something. So if you start a video and it doesn't instantly have something cool, you're going to see such a huge drop off. Like even now, like with my videos, a lot of them in the first 30 seconds drops to like almost 50% viewership. And you have to see that and be like, is that me, or is that just like them's the breaks of YouTube? And it kind of is that. It definitely is. Like it'll show you, like YouTube analytics shows, like, here's the graph of like where people dip out, and like usually you want to have like that drop off at the start, and then like pretty flat, and then like in the last minute when you're doing your normal outro, like drop off. But it can definitely be like, oh man, I'm so bad. Like, people hate it.
It was so satisfying for me the first time. So the first couple of videos were pretty bad. And then I slowly started getting better guests, and it got better, but I wasn't doing those intro rights. I had in mind, I want to do monologues, and that just absolutely didn't work. And then when I did the new style of intro, I went from having 10% retention to having 35, 40. And I'm like, okay,
That's amazing.
I read online and people say, oh, you should have whatever, way more than that. But I have a talk show, and the videos are fairly lengthy. Sometimes it's 20, 25 minutes.
It's a totally hard sell.
So having 30%, 5-6 minutes average, I'm like, okay, I need to be happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, even my video essays, like, if I have an average retention of like more than 50 in a video essay, I'm like, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. What you saying, like fixing your intro, like with the original show we did, the podcast Around the Monitor, I had the same idea in my head where I was like, oh, I'm going to make an intro that is like an actual TV show intro. And I had this big, really cool, like 30-second intro that I spent like so much time on. Again, at the time I was a dog shit editor. Like, I knew nothing about, I didn't even know how to use Adobe Premiere. After Effects. And I've gotten way better at Premiere since then. But like, I made this really cool intro using mostly MS Paint and Premiere. And I showed it to my one friend who is a production person. He's like, oh, wow, did you use After Effects for this? And I was like, no. And I was like, I've never touched After Effects. And they're like, what did you use? And I told them, like, you poor bastard. Holy shit. How long did this take you? And I told them, and they're like, this would have been so much easier if you'd done like XYZ thing. But also, it's a 30-second intro to a podcast that is like, it's a talk show. And so, yeah, people would watch the first 5 seconds of this intro and be like, okay, well, nobody's talking yet. So click to literally anything else that's over on the side of YouTube. And so, yeah, my retention was dog shit. And so it hurt me deeply to be like, okay, I got to cut this intro to like 3 seconds. And I've done that, and now it's a little bit better, but it's still like, you have to get them to say, okay, I'm going to at least stay for a little bit. And then once you get them to like, 30 seconds, it's like, okay, keep dropping the breadcrumbs, keep having like an interesting fact or an interesting joke or something here just constantly. And hopefully they'll stay for, at least half the video. Once they're in for half, it's like, they're going to watch the rest of it, but it can just be such a slog to get them there.
It's all hard, man. It's all stressful.
Totally.
It's and no one tells you anything useful.
No.
Struggle number 12. All the fucking videos you're going to watch about how to do things.
Oh yeah. No.
I fell for it. I fell, and I've watched hours.
Totally.
Hours of, you need to do this before you start a YouTube channel. Oh, you need to do that. Mm-hmm. That's not saying that I didn't get anything useful from any of those, but you got to keep it in mind. Those people need to pump out content all the time.
Yes.
And there's hundreds of those people doing.
There are so many YouTube channels about how to have a YouTube channel, which is very funny to me. But it's. I think the best video I watched was like on how to make a good thumbnail, and that was actually a pretty useful video of like.
Yeah.
There are only essentially 3 kinds of thumbnails, was this person's opinion, and it's like the super simple thumbnail where it's just like a solid color background and like an object, no words, just that. Or it can be like, here's a person's face with text. And like usually they're making like a, oh, whoa face. And then like the third one is like an object and text. And it's just like, yeah, that kind of is every thumbnail these days.
Yeah.
But there's a science behind it of like this gets people to want to click on your videos. Cause yeah, if you look at like some of my old thumbnails, they're absolutely terrible. And one of the other important stats on YouTube is CTR, click-through rate.
Uh-huh.
And like seeing a video that I think is so good and be like, oh, well, every time somebody sees this thumbnail, they have a 3% chance of actually clicking on it.
It's a bit heartbreaking.
Sucks. Yeah. And like the fact that like having a 10% rate is like incredible is like so crazy to be like, oh, well, it makes sense. Like think about anytime you click onto YouTube, you're seeing instantly like between 8 and 12 thumbnails. And at best, you're going to click one of those. So all the other on the screen, the other 11 thumbnails get screwed. And God forbid you start scrolling down, because then you're like adding it's. I don't want to make people feel bad for not clicking on videos on YouTube. But it is like the worst is as a content creator, because like obviously I have multiple YouTube accounts of like I have one before when I was an actor. Like I have my personal like acting channel where I would post like audition reels and stuff like that. And I'll use that for some things. And then like, if I'm browsing YouTube while logging into that account and one of my thumbnails pops up, there'll be sometimes where like, I'll forget to click it. And I'm like, fuck, I just killed myself. It's such a weird.
The thing I do, speaking of like alternate account, I think I may have like 3. Mm-hmm. And then, I'll go in and give myself a like sometime, but then I'm like, oh shit, I gotta let the video play through or I'm hurting my retention. Yeah. So you go on the 100%. Alternate account, you pop the video, you like it, and then you have to let it play for fucking 25 minutes in the background.
Yep. It's there. I will say there's totally no shame in that. Like starting out, especially like I definitely for like our long form podcast stuff, like I would 100% do that with my other account and just be like, okay, well, like that's going to boost YouTube's rating, but like it still would be like, oh, well, on average, people are watching this video for 4 minutes and it's like a 40-minute video. And you're like, well, that's a podcast, I guess.
Right. But then, yeah, so all those videos that you see, it's not that they're inherently bad. It's just that there's so many of them and there's so many people doing them that it's just always the same rechewed content. It takes them 5 minutes to explain something that could have taken 10 seconds. It's you learn, but the process of learning how to YouTube takes so long because of that, because it's so clogged. And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
I could talk for years about like, when I feel like I'm seeing people succeeding with what I would like to call like low effort content. And like no content is truly low effort, but like I don't want to like name names, but there is a particular YouTuber who I had never heard of because they're very niche and it's not a niche that I care about. But I did a video on why licensing music in video games is so difficult. And I think it's a really interesting topic of like just how hard it is for like a game like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which has all of these like amazing pop rock songs that people love. Like that soundtrack is iconic, and how difficult it is for them to get all of the agreements and how expensive it is for them to get all of those songs into the video game. And I think it's a really cool video. And this guy who has like, I think it was like 30,000 subs. And he made a 3-minute video, which I guess in his credit, it's cool that he kept it brief. But like in the first 10 seconds, he's like, also, he's not on camera and he doesn't even speak into a microphone. He uses like the Windows text to speech thing.
Oh, shoot me.
So it's
I
like,
hate those.
And it's so, I don't want to talk shit on this.
Okay, I haven't seen it, so it's really bad.
Yeah, they're just like, I use the stuff from around the monitor. Go check out their channel. And just explaining, like regurgitating what I said while
Faster,
playing. While playing like just footage of Just Dance, like not actual like what's on the screen isn't relating to what they're saying.
Oh God.
And that video has, because his channel is just naturally bigger than mine already, has like 10 times as many views as mine. And I'm like, he didn't even tag my video in the description. He shouted me out in the video, but didn't tag the link to it. And I was like went and commented like, hey, thanks for shouting me out. Here's the actual video, by the way, enter. And like,
hoping he'd pin or at least or something.
Yeah. And like now, like I on that video, like it did see a spike in views, but it was like, maybe because it was an old video, so like it wasn't performing well anymore, but like it got like maybe 300 or 400 views. And again, his video got like 10,000 views in the first couple days. I'm like, man, that hurts so bad. Like it feels defeating, but I guess that's YouTube, is like a lot of defeat. And when you get a success, it does feel so damn good of like, I mean, yeah, the feeling of us like getting that big blow up in December, at the end of December, and like seeing that ride through January and being like, oh shit, like people care about us now. Like that is so exciting. And like seeing our Discord go from, we would have like maybe 6 people who talked in it frequently, and now we have like 30 people that talk in it frequently, is like, oh wow, like this is growing, like we're building an actual community here, and it's been nice to like curate it in a way where like if somebody sucks, we can just be like, hey, we don't really want you here, or like, you can't come into our Discord and say XYZ things, and like if so, you're gone. And it's just like,
you're not sucking up for people and views where you're like, I need to accept everyone because I need those numbers. right.
It's definitely been. Thankfully, we haven't had like a weird situation. Like I think we've only had to kick 2 people from the Discord for like, being weird or saying some offensive stuff. But like, it's the thing where like I've like, oh man, I'm dreading the day when it just like somebody comes in and just starts posting some wild shit or something like that. Like just getting trolled really hard. I know it's going to happen eventually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh,
more stress to add, man. There's just
right.
There's just a lot of shit. It's overwhelming.
Preparing for the worst.
It's really overwhelming. I'm looking for that big break, and every week it's always a up and down. I'm like, oh, what's the point? Like this isn't gonna work. And then thank God I started. I'm not doing well like in views, but like I slowly within the past 2 weeks I finally started getting comments from outside of people I knew. And this feels so amazing. Fucking good. You start getting names that you've never seen before that give you good comments. I've had some positive stuff in the last couple of weeks of people giving me actual good comments. That if those comments weren't coming through, it'd be nice if you tell us. Be like, am I done with this?
Totally.
But
I not to go like into my life, but like I had, you know, a pretty like traumatic shakeup personally in like the last 2 months here. And I think like if the channel hadn't blown up when it did, I would just be like so depressed all the time. And it's so amazing to kind of have this as a like rock to stick to and have this community that, again, I'm genuinely proud of the community that we've managed to foster. And like that has really helped me through some rough stuff. And yeah, it's that weird thing where like just a comment from a random person you don't know can make like can literally make your day.
A big like, difference.
We along with the rebrand, like we have a Patreon, and like this last month we have 7 people who I've never met in my life willing to give us money because they like the content we're creating. And like the concept of that is so like you know, like not to get cliche, but it's like, you like me, you really like me, you know,
it's validating.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. It's so humbling. And like, it's just, it really, really, really makes your whole day. And like, it gives you the strength, or like you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't be on YouTube if you weren't passionate and didn't care about making content or whatever it is you're doing on the platform. But like to have that positive feedback as an artist, as a creator, is just so reassuring and so validating, and it makes it all worth it. Like I would still, in my heart of hearts, I believe I would still be making videos even if we were still back at 3,000 subscribers like we were in December. But if I didn't believe at some point that we would have success or we would see people start to flock to us, I don't think I would do it. And so, yeah, the fact that we have found this community and this, it's like, I don't want to say success because I don't want to like jinx it. I don't feel like we're like,
no, for sure. It's like you're still far from where you want to be. Yeah, of course.
Exactly. But it is so like,
but it's you're finally gaining traction. Now you have something to build from. You have something to take advantage. Oh, I'm getting exposure here. Now, how do I branch out that exposure? You know, you're finally coming out a little bit, and that's
like going back to actually being like actual conventions. In February last year, I went to PAX East, and I had business cards made. And at the time, I think we only had like 700 subscribers. And so like going up to like game developers and being like, hey, like I'm this content creator, blah, blah, blah. And being like, oh, well, how big is your channel? And be like, that's 700 subscribers. And then like, honestly, I will say this, like all the developers were super nice there and it was a fantastic experience. But like now being here, like, when we got a little bit bigger, like getting that first code, like free video game sent to us to be like, hey, we'd like you to play this and review this on your channel. Like that was so like, oh my God, like we're a big deal now. We're in it, boys. Like, let's go. Like,
yeah. And you feed off of that. Yeah,
exactly.
It's momentum.
Exactly.
It's just like anything else. You feed off of momentum, and it's the same thing. And like right now I'm at the point where the subs have gone up, the views aren't going up, and it's just like I need those small comments. I need those few comments every week just to be like, okay, I'm doing this for this person that says he cares. I only need a few of them, but
totally,
it's always how long can I drag this for? And to me, it's always been every week I need to have something to look forward the week after that I want to fix or that I want to make better. And it was super easy for the first 8, 9, 10 episodes because it was blatant. You know, I'd see a video, I'd see an episode, and it was just obvious the things that I needed to do to make it better. But as you work on content, it gets harder because things get better and it just gets to the point where you're satisfied with things and just like I'm not sure that I can see things that I need to improve as easily. And then once you start being in a complacency and you're just doing the same thing over and over and you don't get result, how long until you're like, fuck this? And how long can I drag this for? How long can I keep keep this up without getting results? And that's like what I'm starting to ask myself now. I know I'm still way early. I've been doing this for 2 months. I'm like really, really early, and people take.
I'll say this: you being where you are at after 2 months is extremely impressive. Again, like it took us like almost 2 years to get to 2,000 subscribers, and then to have that. I mean, again, we knew nothing starting out. I knew nothing, and like having to learn all this like in the worst way possible, like like trial by fire. It is so nice to kind of be on the other side of that, where now I feel like I understand a little bit about stuff. Yeah. I know there's so much that I do not understand in the slightest, but I will say this again, like talking to other YouTubers is so important. And like, personally, I'll say this, I'm an open book. Like I will, if somebody's like, hey, what do you think about this? Or like, what should I do differently? I love talking about like, you know, how the sausage gets made on YouTube, of just like, oh, this is what I recommend. Or like, oh, what's your SEO look like? Or, oh, how are your thumbnails? How are you promoting the video? Like, I love talking about stuff like that. And definitely, if you have friends who are YouTubers, you better be liking and commenting on their videos. Yeah. Because if you think about it, it really is such a minimal effort to help them, and it makes all the difference for them.
That's true.
It's crazy. The biggest lesson I gave myself in this was starting out. There's another content creator I love. His name is Tim Rogers. He makes extremely long form review videos now. Like he just put up a almost 6-hour video of a game that was only released in Japan. It's the most absolute buck wild thing, but I love him. I love his content. He has such a weird mastery of the English language. And I was like, I want to do a video talking about why I like his content. And it was only 5 minutes long, and I did it in the style of his content. I said, I'm gonna do a review of his reviews in the style of his reviews, if that makes sense. It was super meta and dumb. But because of that, I had to learn all of the techniques that he was doing in his editing, in his writing. And it made me such a better editor.
Yeah.
And it's like going into my next video or all my other videos. Of course, my style isn't his style. I'm not aping his style anymore, but that was learning all these different techniques of like, oh, I can do a quick blur in with an information with a drop shadow on a blurred background. And like, oh, okay. He always has like a motion background. So that like makes it more interesting. And oh, he uses like this, he puts himself in like the bottom left corner of the screen. What does that do? Like there's so many things I learned from making that video that even though I'm not copying his style at all now, that definitely has largely influenced my editing, and it has
expanded your range. Yeah.
Oh, totally. It was like I did that video and I was like, that was brilliant. That helped me out a lot. And then at the beginning of last year, I did a video on summoning salts. Well, specifically on people who do speed run history videos. And I was like, I'm going to do a video about the history of speedrunning history videos. And I got an interview with Summoning Salt, and I got an interview with like another YouTube channel that does video game speedrun documentaries.
You got Summoning Salt on your channel?
So I didn't get an audio interview, but I like spoke to him over Discord. Okay. And I, used the script from that. But like I got him and these guys called Speed Docs, and just talking about that. And I did it, like I opened it with like the music that he always uses. And I tried to kind of like emulate his like super chill tone of speaking, and like did a bunch of like, okay, I'm going to show clips of this while I'm doing that. And like doing content where you force yourself to learn how people whose videos you like work is so helpful. And I'm not saying copy them, like do not copy somebody else's style, but like learning how other people do it, and then picking and choosing what they do that is why you like their content is so helpful. And I really recommend that as like a teaching skill.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. That's kind of what happened a little bit with my thumbnails. At first, I would do these horrific thumbnails. And then one of my friend goes, hey, I made you a thumbnail for this video. And then it was like,
God bless your friend.
Wow, that's actually really cool. Well, you fucked up. Now I'm hiring you. And then I'm like, you know what? I can't do that. Like, I can't rely on people. I want to do it myself because I'm gonna freak out if I have to rely on people. So
I totally, yeah.
Then I just go, why don't you show me? I don't want to know how everything in Photoshop works, but why don't you show me just how you did this thumbnail? And then I'll just work from there, and I'll work backwards, and I'll just like slowly add some stuff. And then you need other people. You need other people to help you out with those kind of things. And
100%. And having, you know, again, starting the channel as this podcast where essentially I was just talking to my friends about video games, and then slowly over time tricking them into doing work for me, which is a joke we have of like, oh wow, Zach still you know, hasn't paid us anything for all the free work we've been doing. And it, just to be clear, I do want to pay my friends money because they have done so much for me. It's
one day.
You know, maybe yeah, once we get the 100,000 subscribers, then we're making that real money. We'll we'll start paying everybody. Hopefully before then. Chris, if you're watching, I'm sorry.